The following is transcribed.
Welcome to Condensed Bat-Supe. Now with 66% fewer superheroes than our regular podcast, which makes Condensed Bat-Supe even less nutritious, but still just as delicious. We're featuring episodes of the adventures of Superman without the caped crusaders. Tie on your capes for lots of boisterous bluffing, plenty of desperate denial, and gallant gambles galore. In this edition of Condensed Bat-Supe, the Unity House story continues with the next two chapters of the Hate Mongers Organization. This is Chapter 21, Death Sentence, as originally broadcast on May 14th, 1946.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, the trap set by Superman for the man behind the curtain has snapped its jaw on Jimmy Olsen as the young reporter faces a new enemy in the lair of the hate monger.
You know, gang, this week's Pep Dish of the Week is really in the groove. As smooth a breakfast dish as you'd ever want to taste. It's a Pep Strawberry Flip, and you can fix it yourself with just a flip of the wrist. Here's the idea. You start with your regular serving of Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. Add some fine, ripe strawberries. Then, with your spoon, give the whole thing a neat flip. Now, carefully, so that you don't spill it all over everywhere. And when the berries nestle down among those crisp, delicate flakes of Pep, what a treat you have. That sunny, golden toasted flavor of Kellogg's Pep sparkles like anything. And those whole wheat flakes are so tender and crunchy, they really do things for the strawberries. Try a Pep Strawberry Flip, gang. See if it doesn't put an edge on your morning appetite. See if Kellogg's Pep doesn't taste so terrific you want to pitch right in and polish off every single spoonful in your bowl. And, you know, that's the right angle nowadays when the cereal grains are being sent to fellows and girls all over the world. So get hep to Pep, gang. Don't waste it. When Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's, make sure there's no waste at your house. If you pour your own Pep, pour it carefully and eat up every bit you pour out. Make it a habit to eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Masquerading as a young, tough Jimmy Olsen, cub reporter for the Daily Planet, gained entrance to the secret headquarters of the subversive hate-mongering organization calling itself the Guardians of America. There, he was given an assignment by the mysterious head of the organization, who spoke to him from behind a black velvet curtain. The assignment was to destroy a group of valuable oil paintings in an art gallery owned by a man named Adolf Klein. Clark Kent immediately contacted Mr. Klein, explained the situation, and secured his cooperation to make the man behind the curtain believe Jimmy had carried out his assignment. A false news story to the effect that the paintings were slashed with a razor blade appeared in the Daily Planet. A few hours later, Jimmy presented himself at the headquarters of the Guardians of America and was ushered into the leader's office. Stepping from behind his curtain, he congratulated Jimmy and introduced himself as Frank Hill. Now, with an arm around Jimmy's shoulders, Frank Hill led him to the door of an adjoining room.
I want you to meet a close associate of mine, Olsen, a man who has done a great deal for the Guardians of America. Come, he's waiting for us in the next room. After you, Olsen.
As Jimmy started across the threshold, his eyes fell on the man in the next room, and he stopped dead in his tracks. The color drained from his cheeks, and his lips turned pale. There was a horrible emptiness at the pit of his stomach as he recognized the man in the next room. His throat tight and dry, he could only gasp.
You? Well, don't be rude, Olsen. Say hello to Mr. Adolf Klein. I believe you two have met before.
Yes, we have met. It was in my art gallery, wasn't it, young man?
Make certain, Adolf, this is a serious matter.
There's no question about it. He was with Clark Kent, a Daily Planet reporter at Kent's apartment. I believe he, too, works for the newspaper.
Is that true, Olsen? Answer me.
No, it ain't true. I never seen him before.
Close the door, Adolf. Yes. The game is over, Olsen. You played for high stakes and you lost.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, perhaps I can explain. We've been suspicious of you for some time, and we decided to test you out by giving you an assignment on your own. You were told to destroy a number of paintings on display at Mr. Klein's art gallery. But what you were not told was that Mr. Klein has been a member of my organization for many years. Now you understand why I say the game is over.
I did what you told me to do.
May I suggest that you drop the tough accent? You're a clever little actor, but you're wasting your talent on us. You did what I told you to do, did you?
Yeah.
What actually occurred, Adolf?
I received a telephone call from Clark Kent who asked me to visit him at his apartment on a matter of great importance. When I arrived, this young man was with Kent.
That's a lie.
Next time, my hand won't be open. Go ahead, Adolf.
Kent told me the whole story. How this boy had joined a gang working for the Guardians of America in order to learn who was at the head of it. The rest you know.
Thank you, Adolf. Well, Olsen, now do you know what we're talking about? Answer me, you little rat, or I'll throttle you with my bare hands.
Let go of me.
Answer, then. Answer, or I'll kill you.
Yes.
Yeah, you admit spying on me.
Yes.
You admit trying to lead me into a trap?
Yes.
Why did you do it? Why did you do it, I said?
You know why.
Don't tell me what I know. I'm asking you.
Because you set fire to Mr. Hoffman's store. Because you almost murdered Danny O'Neill. Because you're trying to get people to hate each other by spreading your lies and your poison. That's why.
Well, very amusing, isn't he, Adolf?
Yes, well.
Maybe it's amusing to you, but it isn't to me.
At the moment, I should say nothing would be amusing to you, Olsen. You're on a one-way street with a dead end, and when I say dead end, I mean dead end.
You can't frighten me. I'm not afraid of your kind.
You realize, of course, that now we've caught you, we can't possibly let you go. You understand that?
Go on, keep talking.
And since we neither have the facilities nor the desire to keep you as a permanent guest, there's only one thing that we can do. Tell me, how old are you?
Don't give me that line about my being too young to die. You didn't worry about that when you told Muggs to beat up Danny O'Neill, a kid 10 years old.
Well, that was an unfortunate mistake.
Oh, sure. The knife in Rabbi Stone's stomach was an unfortunate mistake, too, wasn't it? And it would have been an unfortunate mistake if Mr. White's car had been blown up and killed him and Dr. Leeds, the minister.
You don't approve of our efforts to keep foreigners out of America, do you? And to send those who are here back where they came from or get rid of them?
No. Because if you did that, there'd be nobody left but the Indians. Everybody knows that.
Well, we'll teach them different.
That's what Hitler and Mussolini said. They were going to teach the people, too. Do you remember what happened to them? The same thing will happen to you.
Shut up.
Don't like the idea, do you?
Shut up, I said. Shut up, or I'll...
Go ahead. Go ahead, hit me. You're safe. Got your gang around.
Well, now we'll see how brave you are, Olsen. How much courage all those fine words give you. We'll lock this boy in the vacant room at the end of the hall, Adolf. Tonight after dark, Eric and Clark will bind and gag him, drive him to the Metropolis Bridge, and drop him into the river.
This is Collins in the composing room, Mr. White. We're still holding page 1 of the final edition open. Any orders?
No orders yet. Just stand by.
Break in the press room, Mr. White. When do we run the final?
When I tell you to. Stand by.
Well, getting impatient, aren't they?
Now, look here, Kent. This is no laughing matter. That final edition should be out on the streets by now. I've held it almost 40 minutes waiting for that story.
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day, Chief.
I'm not building Rome. I'm running a newspaper.
No.
Right now, I'm paying a press crew room overtime. When was Olsen supposed to call?
The minute he got clear. It won't be long now.
Well, that's what you said a half hour ago.
Relax, Chief, for heaven's sake. Any moment that telephone's going to ring and we'll have the most sensational story of the year.
You hope.
I know. Jimmy never let me down yet.
Too bad that you're letting your friend Mr. Kent down, Olsen. I'm sure he's expecting to hear from you.
Well, don't lose any sleep over it.
Oh, still the bright, young, smart Alec, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry we haven't had time to furnish the room and equip it with a telephone, Olsen, but you'll only be in it for an hour or two.
Thanks.
You're quite welcome. I see you glancing at the window. Remember, this is the penthouse. We're 15 stories above the street. It's a long, long drop. Step inside. Oh, I won't be seeing you again before Eric and Carl take you for your last ride, so this is goodbye. Goodbye and good riddance.
As the door slams behind him and a key turns in the lock, Jimmy momentarily loses his nerve. His lower lip trembles, and he stands helplessly in the center of the bare room. What can he do? How can he possibly escape? We'll return for the tense climax of today's episode in just a moment. So keep listening.
Say, gang, when you hitch up your chair to the breakfast table in the morning, does your appetite sit up and take notice? Do you really want to eat the hearty sort of meal that helps start your day off right? Well, if it's a bowl of sunny golden toasted Kellogg's Pep you're hitching up to, most likely you can hardly wait to get started. Pep, you know, is called the Sunshine cereal. It's loaded with smooth, full wheat sunshine flavor that practically sparkles on your tongue. Crisp, too, and tender and delicate. A royal sort of breakfast dish. Yes, sir, Kellogg's Pep certainly stacks up when it comes to really keen eating. And when it comes to nutrition, too. Because Pep gives you good whole wheat nourishment plus. So, you're in solid if you polish off every single toasted crisp flake in your bowl. And say, here's another angle, gang. Nowadays, the cereal grains, like the whole wheat in Kellogg's Pep, are being sent to fellas and girls overseas. So, it's not right to waste cereal. When Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's, take special pains to make sure that there's no waste at your house. If you pour your own Pep, pour it carefully and eat up every bit you pour out. And say, kind of keep an eye on your younger brothers and sisters, too. That's a cinch, isn't it? Just be sure to eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
Trapped and exposed as a spy, Jimmy Olsen has been literally sentenced to death by Frank Hill, the hate-mongering leader of the Guardians of America. While Clark Kent and Barry White are waiting in the editor's office for Jimmy's telephone call, the young reporter, becoming more desperate as the minutes go by and the first gray shadows of darkness creep over the city, is pacing his bare prison room. Stopping at intervals to try the door in the vain hope that somehow it has become unlocked. But no such miracle occurs, and time moves on. Back and forth he paces, fighting off the fear and panic of utter helplessness. Suddenly he starts toward the window. Off in the distance he can hear faint music, strange music. He raises the window and leans out. Far below, an organ man is grinding out a melody while a monkey dances at the end of a chain. Jimmy's hands dart into his pockets. In a moment he has a scrap of paper and the stub of a pencil. Laboriously he writes an instruction and a message.
Take this to Clark Kent, Daily Planet newspaper. He will give you $1. Mr. Kent, I am locked in a room at their headquarters, 205 Willow Road. They are going to throw me off the Metropolis Bridge as soon as it is dark. Come at once and bring help. Jim.
Again, reaching into a pocket, Jimmy finds a coin, a quarter. Wrapping it in the note, he leans out the window and drops it. Down it falls, turning and twisting like some huge weighted snowflake, while Jimmy's heart chokes up in his throat as he watches it, fearful lest the coin slip out of the paper. But it lands intact a few feet from the organ grinder. Quickly, the monkey scampers over, pounces on it, and delivers it to his master. The music stops, while the organ grinder unwraps the coin. His eyes light up when he sees the size of it. Raising his head, he nods his thanks. Then he notices the penciled writing on a scrap of paper. He studies it carefully, while high above, from the open window of the penthouse room, Jimmy watches him, every muscle in his body taut and tense.
What's he waiting for? Why doesn't he deliver it?
Will the organ grinder deliver Jimmy's message to Clark Kent in time to save the young reporter? Or is he puzzling over the writing on the paper for one very good reason? Because he cannot read English. If that is true, Jimmy has gambled again and lost. Or has he? Tomorrow's exciting episode will give us the answer, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, for the thrill-packed episode entitled The Last Ride.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal. Say, if you want your dog to give you the glad eye, try giving him Kellogg's Grow Pup dog food at mealtime. There's a dog food that's as good as they come. It's got a swell, meaty flavor that goes over big with dogs. And there are 3 kinds of Grow Pup. There's Grow Pup Ribbon, Grow Pup Meal, and Grow Pup Pellets. All good for your dog. Grow Pup has vitamins and minerals, helps build strong muscles and teeth and bones. Just tell that to Mother, and I'm sure she'll want your dog to feed on Kellogg's Grow Pup every day. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
And now, faster than a speeding bullet. Condensed Bat-Supe proudly presents Chapter 20 of the Hate Mongers Organization storyline. The episode titled The Last Ride, which was originally broadcast on May 15th, 1946.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, as Clark Kent and Perry White keep anxious vigil at the Daily Planet, all Jimmy Olsen's hope for escape from his sinister captor, Frank Hill, seems lost. And with it, the hope of winning the battle he has fought with such unwavering courage.
Say, gang, just ask Grandpa what he used to say when he was young about something he liked. Bet you he'll say, Hotsy-totsy. Well, today you say it's on the beam. And if it's Kellogg's Pep you're talking about, you say it's on the sunbeam. You know, Pep is called the Sunshine Cereal. It's so golden and toasty and sunny-flavored it brightens up breakfast any day. How those crisp flakes of whole wheat do needle your appetite. Every tender spoonful teases for another. Yes, sir, Pep's Sunshine flavor is so smooth, that tender crispness is so keen that, well, it's practically irresistible. And anyway, who wants to resist the solid sort of breakfast that helps start your day in high? Kellogg's Pep gives you hearty whole wheat nourishment plus. So pitch right in, gang. Get set to polish off every last spoonful in your bowl. That's the smart thing to do, you know, because nowadays the cereal grains are being sent to give that swell grain nourishment to fellas and girls overseas. Remember, when Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's, don't waste it. If you pour your own Pep, pour it carefully and eat up every bit you pour out. And say, kind of keep watch on your younger brothers and sisters, too. Get the right habit, gang. Eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Caught in a trap set for him by Frank Hill, the vicious leader of a hate-mongering organization calling itself the Guardians of America, young Jimmy Olsen, cub reporter for the Daily Planet, has been literally sentenced to death. Hill has instructed 2 of his henchmen, once darkness falls, to bind and gag Jimmy, drive him to the Metropolis Bridge, and drop him into the river. At the moment, however, Jimmy has been locked in a vacant room of the organization's penthouse headquarters, where, in a final desperate attempt to communicate with Clark Kent, he wrote a message, wrapped it around a coin, and dropped it to an Italian organ grinder on the street 15 stories below. As we continue now, Jimmy is leaning out the open window, anxiously watching the organ grinder as he seemingly studies the handwriting on the scrap of paper. For a moment, a ray of hope seems to shine through the gathering dusk. But only for a moment. The horrible truth dawns on Jimmy as the organ grinder shrugs, adjusts the strap of his instrument, and strolls down the street playing a tune. He cannot read English. Jimmy's heart sinks to the pit of his stomach and he gulps. Then suddenly he hears a key grate in the lock. He pulls the window down, turns as the door opens, and Frank Hill enters the room.
You weren't thinking of jumping out that window, were you, Olsen?
Oh, what window?
There happens to be only one window in the room. You're standing in front of it. We heard it slam shut just as we unlocked the door.
I wanted some air.
Oh, and you suddenly decided when the key turned in the lock that you'd had enough air. Is that it?
Yeah.
Well,
so
we're
what?
going to give you a little more air, Olsen. It occurred to me that since you were here once before, that you undoubtedly gave this address to Mr. Kent and the police. since it might be somewhat embarrassing if the police suddenly arrived and found you here, we've decided to move you until it's dark enough to get rid of you permanently as planned. You'll go along with Eric and Carl.
That's what you think. Don't come near me or I'll kill you.
Wait, Carl. He's got a knife. A silly little penknife.
It won't look silly, jammed between your ribs.
Now, you're just making things more difficult for yourself, Olsen. You can't get out of this room.
That suits me. I'm willing to wait till the police come.
Oh, so you did give them the address.
What do you think?
Carl.
Yes?
In the closet in my office on the top shelf, you'll find a small tear gas spray gun. Bring it to me.
Yes.
And in just a moment, we'll see how long you stand there brandishing that ridiculous knife.
I'm all through standing.
Look out, Eric. What? Did he get you, Eric?
It just cut my sleeve.
Oh, the dirty little rat. I guess he figures he's got nothing to lose.
Here's the tear gas, boss. What's up?
He pulled a knife on us, forced us out of the room. Now reach out and open the door, Carl, and then step aside. If I can shoot some of this stuff in his face, it'll take all the fight out of him.
He's
careful now.
He's leaning against the door.
Well, stick it open. Now, wait a minute. That's no good. You'll have to hit the door with your shoulder.
You said he's got a knife?
Well, what of it?
He'll take a swipe at me.
Well, you don't have to hit the door hard. Now, push it. He's only a kid. He can't hold it shut very long. We've got to get him out of here.
I don't like this too much.
Well, neither do I, but we can't help ourselves. Now, go ahead. I'll cover you with the tear gas. If he shows himself, he'll get a faceful.
Okay.
That's it, Carl. You're getting it. He's weakening. He's pushing. He let go of the door.
Carl fell into the room. He's going to knife him.
All right, grab him, Eric. He can't see.
That knife. Stop it, I said.
All right. Let him go.
I'm blind. I can't see.
Where you're going, Olsen, there's nothing to look at. Take him away.
Temporarily blinded, his eyes burning like live coals, Jimmy is led from the room by Frank Hill's henchman. Meanwhile, in Editor Perry White's office at the Daily Planet, where White and Clark Kent have been waiting for a telephone call from Jimmy, Kent is beginning to worry.
I don't understand why he hasn't called.
Because he's Olsen, that's why. Because he hasn't a brain in his head.
Chief, that's not
Does he
true.
think I can hold the final edition until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning?
What time is it?
7:30. We're an hour late with it now.
No.
I can't hold it any longer, Kent. Story or no story.
Chief, he's bound to call.
When? Next Tuesday? I'm sorry. I've got to get that paper out.
Baker, press room.
Very White. Put page 1 back into the form and let it roll.
Chief, can't you wait another 5 minutes?
Not a minute. Let it roll, Becker.
Okay.
Well, that's that. I should have done it an hour ago. Oh, I knew that kid wouldn't come through.
Something must have happened to him.
If anything did, it's your fault. I told you right from the beginning not to let him get mixed up with those hoodlums. You'd better call Henderson.
No, I can take care of it.
You can take care of what?
I know where he went. I wanted to steer clear of the place till Jimmy got the evidence we need, but now maybe I better look it over.
Oh, don't you be a fool, too, Kent. Call the police. It's a job for them.
No, it's a job for...
For whom?
For me. I'll be back as soon as possible, Chief.
Now, wait a minute. Where are you going?
To look for Jimmy. Good thing this storeroom's empty. If they ever decide to use it as an office, I'm in trouble. Off with these clothes. Don't understand why Jimmy hasn't called. Something must have happened. But what? Well, I'll find out soon enough.
As Superman. Up with this window.
Out and away!
Leaping out into the gathering dusk, Superman circles high above the Daily Planet building, hovers for a moment in curious flight as he determines direction, and then, red cape streaming in the wind, rockets across the city, faster almost than the speed of light. In a matter of seconds, he is again hovering motionless in midair, this time above the apartment building on Willow Drive.
Jim said they occupied the penthouse apartment. There it is, directly below me. But there's no one there. It's empty. That's strange. I wonder where Jim could be.
By a curious twist of fate, even as Superman voices his thoughts, a black sedan is speeding away from the apartment building on Willow Drive. And in it is Jimmy Olsen taking what Hill, the hate monger, called his last ride. Stand by for the tense, exciting climax of today's episode in just a moment.
Say now, I'll bet you never realized how much those golden crisp flakes of Kellogg's Pep can do for a plump, juicy strawberry. But if you'll have a Pep Strawberry Flip for breakfast, you'll find out. Sure, that's this week's Pep Dish of the Week, you know. And it's a humdinger. Why, it's practically out of this world the way that famous sunshine flavor and that tender crispness seem to rise and shine. Just try it. Here's how easy it is to make a Pep Strawberry Flip. You pour out your regular serving of Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal, and then you put some fine, ripe strawberries on top. Then take your spoon and very carefully give the whole thing a neat flip so the berries are scattered all through the delicate, tender whole wheat flakes. Good? Why, it's a smooth dish, gang. Fact is, no matter how you serve it, Kellogg's Pep always tastes so good you want to eat up every last spoonful in your bowl. And, nothing could be smarter nowadays when we shouldn't waste cereal. Because whole wheat is one of the cereal grains picked out to go to fellas and girls around the world. So, gang, when Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's, make sure it's not wasted. Handle with care is the idea if you pour your own Pep, and eat up every bit you pour out. Just remember, eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
Darkness has fallen over the city of Metropolis like a black shroud. Darting through the starless sky like some giant bird, Superman has checked every possible place that Jimmy Olsen might be. The pool room hangout of Muggs and his gang, Jimmy's house in the suburbs, his own apartment that he occupies as Clark Kent, even police headquarters. But the boy reporter is nowhere to be found. Now, once again in his guise of the mild-mannered reporter, we find him with Editor Perry White in the latter's office.
What time is it, Chief? It's 5 minutes later than it was when I told you 5 minutes ago.
This is no time for jokes.
It's 20 after 8. Why don't you call the police, Kent, instead of mooning around here like an idiot?
I can't. If I call them, Henderson will raid the pool room and throw a monkey wrench into the works. The whole idea of this plan was to get the evidence on whoever was behind the hate campaign before we pounced.
So what have you got? No evidence, and Olsen's missing. For all we know, he may be dead.
We won't have any trouble with him, Eric. He's half dead now. Get that rear door open.
Maybe you have tied the gag too tight. Maybe he cannot breathe.
So what? He won't be breathing anyway 5 minutes after he hits the water. Open the door.
Yeah.
Grab his feet.
Yeah.
All right. Swing him in.
Yeah.
Good enough. Who's driving?
I will take it. You're sure it is dark enough?
Plenty. By the time we hit the bridge, it'll be pitch black. Let's go.
What is the setup again, Carl?
Simple. We drive to the middle of the bridge, stall like we had a flat until there's no traffic, then drag him out and heave him over. It's a 200-foot drop to the water, and the tide's going out. We can't miss.
Pulling away from in front of the nondescript frame house where Jimmy had been held prisoner for the past hour, the black sedan heads for the bridge with the boy reporter bound and gagged in the rear seat. Meanwhile, miles away in the poorly furnished flat of a tenement house deep in the Metropolis slums, a strange scene is taking place. A scene that, by a queer trick of fate, may mean life or death for Jimmy Olsen. Maria, daughter of the Italian organ grinder, is about to sew up a tear in the pocket of her father's coat. And as she turns the pocket inside out, a scrap of paper flutters to the floor. She picks it up, notices the penciled writing on it, smooths it out, and reads it. For a moment, she is puzzled. She reads the strange note again and is about to call out and ask her father who wrote it when she notices he is fast asleep on the couch. Smiling sheepishly, she crumples the scrap of paper and drops it into an ashtray, returning to her sewing. And in that tense moment, Jimmy's life hangs on a thread as slender as the one trailing from the eye of the girl's needle. What will happen? Can anyone, even Superman, save Jimmy now? Or has his life been discarded like the crumpled scrap of paper in the ashtray? Gang, whatever you do, don't miss tomorrow's super exciting episode entitled Race Against Death. Tune in tomorrow, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal. Say, gang, you know what fun it is to make your dog sit up and beg for something good to eat? Well, if you want to make sure your dog gets a good dinner that'll help him keep him strong and husky, ask your mother to give him Kellogg's Grow Pup dog food. If you feed Grow Pup to your dog along with his scraps of meat and fat, he ought to get along just fine. That kind of eating will help give him strong bones and teeth and muscles. There's Grow Pup Ribbon, Grow Pup Meal, and Grow Pup Pellets. Just see which your dog likes best and ask Mother to feed it to him regularly. Remember, that's Kellogg's Grow Pup. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
And now, it's time for a Condensed Bat-Supe Extra Helping. Because every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. This time, we'll join Jack Benny and the gang as they celebrate the end of one year and the beginning of a new one with their performance of an allegorical fantasy that might just have as much meaning today as it did when this episode of the Jack Benny program was originally broadcast on January 2nd, 1944.
The Grape Nuts and Grape Nuts Flakes program starring Jack Benny. With Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Dennis Day, Rochester, and yours truly, Don Wilson. And now, speaking of New Year's resolutions, here's a poem for you, friends, so listen. When the year is at the morn, resolutions fine are born. When the year is old and gray, resolutions, where are they? I have the answer here to a season full of cheer. Just resolve to start each day happy, carefree, blithe, and gay. And you know, folks, all it takes to start the day is Grape Nuts Flakes. That's the answer, all right. Eat a good breakfast, do a better job. Because you need an adequate breakfast after a fast of 10 or 12 hours the night before. In fact, dietitian tells us that morning is the time we should get at least 1/4 of our entire day's nourishment. Yes, breakfast is the stoke-up meal, and Grape Nuts Flakes are certainly a swell-tasting stoke-up food. They're a whole-grain cereal, cram full of all-around whole-grain nourishment. So for 1944, let's all resolve to eat a good breakfast, do a better job. And let crisp, toasty brown Grape Nuts Flakes help make it easy for you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, since this is the start of a new year, we bring you a man who at the age of 20 began his phenomenal career in show business.
That's right.
At 30, he was a credit to his profession.
Yes, sir.
At 40, he was admired and respected by millions.
That's me.
At 50, his name became a household word.
50?
At 60, he became...
All right, stop. That's enough already. For heaven's sake.
And here he is, Jack Benny.
Thank you. Hello again. This is Jack Benny talking. And, Don, it's a good thing I stopped you or I'd have died of old age before the show started. 40, 50, 60. Well, it wasn't so very long ago that I was going to Waukegan Grammar School.
Well, I know, Jack, but you were the only kid in class the teacher called Mister.
Don, they didn't call me that till I was in the 6th grade. And anyway, Don, it doesn't...
Hello, Jack.
Hello, Mary. Anyway, Don, it doesn't...
Fine thing. I hurry over here and nobody even notices my new dress.
Oh, say, that dress is beautiful, Mary. But don't you feel a little silly wearing a man's necktie with it?
Oh, that. Well, Dennis gave it to me for Christmas, and I'm wearing it so I won't hurt his feelings.
You mean Dennis gave you a... Oh, wait a minute. He must have gotten the boxes mixed up.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, Dennis gave me the cutest pair of lace panties, all covered with rosebuds.
Oh, gee, I'd love to have those. Jack, I'll give you the necktie, and you give me the lace panties.
Well,
Dennis really meant them for me.
I know, but...
You didn't lose them, did you?
I hope not.
Oh, so that's it. You didn't want to hurt his feelings either.
Look, Mary, when someone gives you a gift...
I know. But, Jack, those panties were supposed to fit me. How in the world did you get them on?
Oh, I didn't have much trouble.
You didn't, eh? I'll bet those rosebuds are stretched to full bloom.
Never mind. Let's see, where was I? Oh, yes. Now, look, Don, the next time you make a remark about my age, you better first...
Hello, Mr. Benny.
Oh, hello, Dennis. Don, the next time you make a remark about my age...
What's the matter?
Oh, Don's always telling people that I'm a lot older than I am, and I'm sick of it.
Why don't you hit him with your cane?
Dennis, they gave me this cane with my sports suit instead of an extra pair of pants. Anyway, to change the subject, I'm glad you're all here early tonight because we have a very important program to do.
What do you mean, Jackson?
You'll know in a minute, Phil. Ladies and gentlemen, as is our custom at this time of year, and even though it is January 2nd, tonight we are going to present our annual New Year's play entitled The New Tenant, or Goodbye 43, Hello 44. I hope you will all enjoy our latest version. Now, once again, I will play the part of the
Say,
old...
Mr. Benny, every year you do one of these plays, and I don't understand them.
Well, you see, Dennis, these little sketches we do at the close of each year are not so much plays as they are allegorical fantasies. Now, do you understand?
No.
Well, Dennis, an allegorical fantasy is like, well, look, kid, did you see Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well?
I didn't understand that either.
Dennis, it's all very simple. Look, my play and Snow White are in the same category in that they both deal with the abstract and the esoteric rather than with the prosaic.
Prosaic?
Yes, that's it.
What is?
Don't worry, Dennis. Jack doesn't understand it either.
I understand every word I said.
Sure you do, Jackson.
How do you know, Phil?
Because I'm the guy what learned it to him.
Phil, if you really want to help me keep quiet, keep quiet. Now, look, Dennis, an allegorical fantasy
Oh, Jack, what do you want to show off with big words for?
Show off?
If you want to explain something, do it simply and direct.
Don, don't tell me how
When
to
I
talk.
want to tell somebody about grape nuts and grape nuts flakes, I don't go in for verbal calisthenics.
No, Don.
All I say is that grape nuts and grape nuts flakes are two delicious cereals that always taste like more.
But look, kid.
Grape nuts, crisp and crunchy. Grape nuts flakes, tempting, toasty brown flakes.
Don,
Both
look.
have a zesty, malty, rich flavor that's distinctly their own.
I know, it's their
They're
own.
made
It's
of
their
sun-ripened wheat and malted barley.
Mm-hmm.
And they bring you energy-giving, body-building, whole-grain nourishment.
Yeah, but
the you see,
Dennis...
satisfying, stick-to-your-ribs nourishment that fills you full of well-being
Yes.
and helps make your mornings just zip along.
Oh, it zips. I mean, it's simple enough.
And so eat a good breakfast, do a better job. Feature grape nuts or grape nuts flakes. Now, you see what I mean, Jack?
You're absolutely right, Don. Come here, kid. I'm going to explain it to you in simple words like Don did.
Oh, you don't have to explain it to me. I thought about it while Mr. Wilson was talking, and I know exactly what you mean.
Good. Now, what is an allegorical fantasy?
A prosaic bowl of grape nuts flakes.
Well, look, Dennis, I'll explain it to you later. Meanwhile, in our fantasy, you're going to play a double role. The parts of the two most despicable men in the world, Hitler and Tojo.
I'm going to play the parts of Hitler and Tojo?
Yes.
Where's a mirror?
Why?
I'm going to spit right in my faces.
You don't have to, kid. You're only playing the parts. Anyway, you're going to be Hitler and Tojo tonight.
Well, okay, but I'll just hate myself in the morning.
Now, Phil, you're going to be Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam?
Yes. You see, in our sketch, I will play the part of the old year 1943, who has been living in a big rooming house called the United States, run by Uncle Sam and his wife, Columbia. Now, Mary, you're going to be Columbia. You have 48 children, one for each state in the Union.
I've got 48 children? Holy smoke.
Well, Mary, it's only an allegorical fantasy.
Well, this is a fine time to tell me.
Mary, I tried to explain it to you. Your children are the 48 states. Each state is a child.
Oh, well, then I better hurry and change California. It's wet again.
Well, don't worry about it now. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we set the stage for our play, which will go on immediately after a song. I'll get it. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Benny. This is Rochester.
What do you want, Rochester?
I've been down to the stores exchanging your Christmas presents for you.
Oh, yes. You didn't have any trouble, did you?
Only at one place. They refused to give you a refund on your Christmas tree.
Oh, well, it was worth a try anyway.
And say, boss, while I was out for you, I tried to exchange a present my uncle gave me.
Uh-huh.
But the store wouldn't do it just because I tried it out for size.
Well, that was mean of them. What was the gift?
A bottle of gin.
Well, no wonder they wouldn't exchange it. And, Rochester, why don't you try to reform?
Oh, I did, boss. Remember yesterday I made a New Year's resolution not to shoot craps anymore?
Yes, I remember that resolution.
What happened to it?
Rochester, have you been shooting dice again?
It wasn't my fault, boss. Some of my friends came to visit me.
Yes?
It was the first time a group ever came through a door on their knees.
So you got right in the game, huh?
No, I didn't, boss. I tossed a coin. Heads, I shoot craps with them, and tails, I don't.
Uh-huh. And I suppose it landed head.
No, boss, it landed tails.
Well?
As I bent down to pick up the coin, 2 small cubes fell out of my suit.
Uh-huh.
And to my amazement, Hart, Chapman, and March had thrown a 7.
Oh. Well, I'll talk to you about that later. Where are you now, Rochester?
In a phone booth on Central Avenue, and I... Get off my lap, honey. This is a high phone.
Rochester, have you got a girl in the telephone booth with you?
It ain't an allegorical fantasy.
Rochester, I'm surprised.
So am I, boss. She ain't the same one I came in here with.
Well, Rochester, I haven't got time to talk to you anymore now, so I'll see you when I get home. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, say, boss.
Now what?
There was a phone call from the freight company telling me to come over because your camel had arrived from Egypt.
My camel? That's wonderful. Well, listen, Rochester, don't tell anybody, and I'll spring it on my friends as a surprise.
Well, you better wait till the wind is with you, or the element of surprise will be lost.
Well, don't worry. I'll take care of it. See you later. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I'm glad the camel finally got her. I've been waiting long enough. Sing, Dennis.
This will be my shining hour, calm and happy and bright. In my dreams, your face will flower through the darkness of the night, like the light of home before me, or an angel watching o'er me. This will be my shining hour till I'm with you again. In my dreams, your face will flower through the darkness of the night, like the lights of home before me, or an angel
That was My Shining Hour, sung by Dennis Day. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our annual New Year's play entitled The New Tenant, or Goodbye 43, Hello 44. As the curtain rises, it's almost midnight of December 31st. And old man 1943 is packing his bags and ready to make his exit. Curtain. Music. Oh, Columbia. Columbia. Will you come here a minute, please?
What do you want, 43?
Give me a hand with this packing, will you? I got to get out of here before midnight and make room for the new tenant.
Oh, yes. Little 44 will be here any minute.
Say, where's your husband, Uncle Sam? I'd like to say goodbye to him.
Oh, he's around someplace. Sam's been pretty busy lately.
You said it. All your kids have been pitching in, too.
Here comes one of my relatives, the Navy.
Oh, yes. Hello, Navy.
Hello, old-timer. How are you, Columbia?
Boy, has he grown.
Yep, his tonnage is almost doubled.
He's big, all right. Nice to see him so healthy. By the way, Navy, how's your wife?
Oh, fine, fine. And congratulations are in order.
Really?
Yep, triplets. 3 new battleships.
Well, congratulations, Pappy.
Here's a picture of them.
Well, I'll be doggone. They got their mother's nose and their father's keel. Yes, sir.
Well, so long. See you later, Columbia.
Hey, he needs a big family. He's got 2 bathtubs to fill. Guess I might as well finish packing. Columbia, hand me that bundle of swing music. I'll take that with me.
Here you are.
Thanks. Lay that pistol down, babe. Lay that pistol down. Boy, am I sick of that. Say, Columbia, I got a few minutes yet, so I thought... Well, hello, Eleanor. Glad to see you back. There she goes again. Say, Columbia, I started to tell you I've only got a few minutes, and I thought that maybe before we...
Oh, hello, Sam.
Well, Uncle Sam, where you been?
Oh, what a week, what a week. I've really been busy, been sending Christmas presents to my nephews all over the world.
Well, you're working hard, Sam, but you never looked better in your life. And say, what's that button you're wearing on your lapel? I never knew you took sides in politics.
Well, I don't care if it's the Democrats or the Republicans. They're both good.
But that button...
Well, come closer and take a look at it.
Okay. Well, I'll be...
Well, what does it say, old-timer?
Frank Sinatra. Well, Sam, it's good to know that with all that's on your mind, you still find time for a little entertainment.
That's right, and that ain't all. Look down here. Bobby socks.
Sam, you'll never grow old. Hey, Columbia, turn on the radio. I want to hear the World Series. This'll be my last chance to hear the big game.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the final game of the World Series between the United Nations All-Stars and the Axis Polecats.
That's it. That's what I want.
Me too. A lot of my boys is playing in that game.
For the benefit of you people who tuned in late, this is the last half of the 8th. The Axis had their inning, and the United Nations are now coming up to bat. In the early stages of the game, the Axis did pretty well. They pulled a couple of sneak plays and tried to steal a few bases, but they were stopped by a squeeze play between Timoshenko and Montgomery.
Those boys are sure a couple of big leaguers, all right.
You said it, old-timer.
And now, folks, before we resume our play-by-play description, I would like to remind you that this broadcast comes to you through the courtesy of Freedom Unlimited.
That's a great product.
All right, folks, the United Nations are now at bat. The coaches are George Marshall at third, Hap Arnold at first, and stepping up to the plate is Douglas MacArthur.
Hear that, Sam? He's one of the heaviest hitters we got.
Yep, and he's got a darn good batting average, too.
As you know, ladies and gentlemen, the battery for the Axis is Tojo pitching and Hitler catching.
No, boy, is he catching.
You're not kidding.
And here comes the first pitch. It's a hit! Right between shortstop and third. And MacArthur is safe on first base.
Well, Columbia, we got a man on first.
Yes, sirree.
Incidentally, folks, in the sixth inning, Mussolini got hit on the head with the ball. So now the Axis will have to get another water boy.
Well, he never was much anyway.
All right, folks, MacArthur is on first base, and coming up to bat is Chiang Kai-shek. Mojo is winding up, and here comes the first pitch. Ball one. It's low.
Doggone everything he does is low.
Yep, he's been throwing some nasty curves, but our boys are getting wise to him.
Chiang Kai-shek is standing, grimly determined at the plate. Here comes the second ball. He laid a beautiful bunt down the third base line, which advances MacArthur to second base. The crowd is cheering Chiang Kai-shek's wonderful sacrifice.
I knew Chiang Kai-shek could sacrifice. That's the kind of a fella he is.
Yep, that's what I call great teamwork.
While we're waiting for the next batter to come up, let's have a word from our sponsor, Freedom Unlimited.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you spend restless nights because of a haunting fear that you may lose your rights? Your right to free speech, your right to worship as you please, and your right to live without fear of aggression? If you do, ladies and gentlemen, get yourself some shares of Freedom Unlimited. And you can do that by buying war bonds. Remember, folks, freedom, spelled F-R-E-E-D-O-M.
That fella sure knows what he's talking about.
And now back to the game between the United Nations All-Stars and the Axis Polecats.
Well, folks, the crowd is sure excited. MacArthur's on second base, and coming up to bat is Montgomery. For his wonderful work in the field.
Sure is a fine player.
That's right, Sam.
The pitcher's winding up, and here comes the ball. Montgomery sends a hard drive to Rommel. Rommel's going back. He's going back. He tries to stop it, but he fumbles.
Rumble fumbles the ball. Hear that, Columbia?
Montgomery pulls up at first base, and MacArthur goes to third. The crowd is going wild.
By golly, I don't blame him. Hey, Sam, that Rommel ain't doing so good, is he?
No, he ain't. He's the best player they got.
That's right.
And now, folks, what's this? Hitler walks out to the pitcher's mound to talk to Tojo. It seems they got their signals crossed, and Hitler's worried.
Was ist los, Schweinhund? Ohne Knauten verstaut zu greifen und versehen, keine Minuten, Verstunden, dumm Kopf. Oh, so sorry, please, so sorry, please. So sorry, please. So sorry. Versteiten sich Roden, versteht nicht. Eine Minuten, Verstunde, Roden, versteht nicht. Ah, shut up!
Come on, you started this game, so play ball.
That's telling him, old-timer.
Well, folks, the game's about to continue, but there's a switch in the battery for the Axis. Hitler is now going to pitch.
A lot of good that'll do.
Hitler used to have a pretty good arm.
He oughta. He exercised enough hanging wallpaper.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Hitler is in the pitcher's box, and coming up to bat for the United Nations is Timoshenko.
Timoshenko. He'll knock Hitler out of the box and then put him in one. Wait and see.
And here comes the first pitch. Ball one, very wide.
See that, Sam? Hitler's nervous.
He's winding up again, and here comes the second pitch. Ball two.
You know something, old-timer? I think Hitler's afraid to pitch to him.
Here comes the third pitch. Ball three.
You're right, Sam.
Yep, Hitler doesn't dare take a chance with Timoshenko.
There it is, ball four. Timoshenko walks to first, putting three men on base. Timoshenko on first, Montgomery on second, and MacArthur on third. Yelling for a home run.
One good hit now will put the game in the bag.
What a ball game. What excitement. Bases are loaded for the United Nations, and the Axis team is plenty worried. This is the tensest moment of the game, and the question is, there's a conference being held in the United Nations dugout. Co-managers Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin are putting their heads together to decide on the final move, and wait a minute, folks. Wait a minute. They've reached a decision. They're sending Eisenhower to bat.
here. That's one of my boys.
One of our boys, Sam.
Oh, boy, I can hardly wait to see what's going to happen.
I'm afraid you won't be able to 1943. Your time is almost up, and you better finish packing.
But I want to hear the end of the game.
Well, I know how you feel, old-timer, but you just haven't got the time.
Okay, turn off the radio. Anyway, I got a pretty good idea how it's going to turn out. Doggone, look at that clock. Just got my duds together in time. That's the first stroke of 12. I wonder what's keeping the new tenant. Little fella should be here by now.
Well, don't worry, he'll show up. He always has.
Say, here's a tip for you, Sam. You worked hard during the time I was here. You did a good job. And I want you to work even harder for the little fella that's coming in.
Don't you worry, old-timer. I'm really rolling now.
Time's a-fleeting, but I can't leave till that little shaver gets here.
That must be him now.
Yep. Come in. Well, it's the little new year. Hello, Sonny.
Hello, old-timer.
What's that you got under your arm?
Some forms I'm going to try awfully hard to get signed this year.
Yeah? What are they?
Well, here's the most important one. It says How do you pronounce these big words?
Let's see that. Oh, that says unconditional surrender. Well, I hope you get 'em signed darn soon. Hey, kid, I want you to meet Uncle Sam and his wife, Columbia.
Glad to know you folks.
Hello, Sonny.
Hiya, bub. You ought to have a coat on with them diapers. It's pretty chilly tonight.
I was sure cold the first night I got here. Well, son, I'm glad you're a sturdy little fella because there's a big ball game going on, and after it's over, you're going to have plenty to do. With all the pop bottles and peanut shells laying around, you're going to have to clean up the field and put it in order again.
I'll do the best I can, sir.
I know you will.
But tell me, old-timer, how's the game going?
Well, at the start, things didn't look so good. But after a while... Hear that, son?
Yes, sir. What is it?
That's being played for some of Sam's nephews. They were darn good ball players and hard hitters, too, but they were put out early in the game. Wasn't their fault. Pitching was a little too fast for them then, and it wasn't fair either. The man that had my job last year told me that Tojo started pitching before the umpire said play ball. That ain't baseball, son. Not like they play it in America. Well, I gotta be moseying along now. Oh, by the way, son, Uncle Sam's got a nephew called Franklin that's been taking mighty good care of him. Ain't he, Sam?
You're darn tootin'.
So keep an eye on him, son. Give him all the help you can.
Franklin, eh? I'll write that down.
And here's some more names for you. There's Winston, Joe, Chung. Whole lot more than Sam will give you. I ain't got time to mention them all right now.
I'll make a note of them. Leave it to me.
One more thing, son. When I came in, there was a name given to me, and I was instructed to pass it on to you. And I want you to pass it on to the next little fella that takes over.
Who is it, sir?
The name is Colin Kelly. He represents all our boys who only got one turn at bat. Remember that, son.
I will.
Well, gotta be leaving now. Goodbye, Sam.
So long, old-timer.
Well, here I go.
So long, 43.
So long, Columbia. Keep 'em flying.
The sponsors of the Jack Benny program, the makers of Grape Nuts and Grape Nuts Flakes, send you their very best wishes for 1944. Good night, everyone.
Well, that'll wrap up this episode of Condensed Bat-Supe, featuring 2 more parts of the Hate Mongers organization from the Adventures of Superman. Thank you for listening. Be sure to tell your friends to subscribe to Bat-Supe on their favorite podcatcher. We can also be found on YouTube and Facebook. We'll see you next time for another exciting edition of Condensed Bat-Supe as we bring you more of our current storyline and another fine Bat-Supe extra helping. Until then, up, and away!
After Ibarra and the others left, I stayed up on Lookout Mountain and watched the new year come to Los Angeles. A new year. Didn't seem to change things much, at least on the surface. Somewhere down the road, a gang struck up Old Lang Syne. I thought again of Adrian Starr, a girl who loved not wisely, who had called herself an old acquaintance. Yeah, I'd never forget her. As I walked back to my car, the city was ringing out the old and ringing in the new. And I wished then that someplace on everybody's list of resolutions, they'd make room for that cup of kindness they were singing about. And then a guy could say, Happy New Year, and mean it.